All right, welcome back. Today, we are going to tackle one of the most powerful tools in algebra, solving systems of equations by substitution. Now, I want you to think of this less like a scary math problem and more like a logic puzzle. You know? We're trying to find that one single point where two different stories or two different lines cross paths. So, let's just dive right in.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to get the main idea down, what I'm calling the substitution swap. Then, we'll walk through the basic 5-step method together. After that, we'll see what to do when the equations aren't, well, quite ready for us. We'll even look at a couple of weird cases, and then, the best part, we'll see how this all works in real life.
All right, first up, before we even think about solving anything, we have to get our heads around the big idea here. What is substitution really? Well, the clue is right there in the name.
So here's the textbook definition. It says substitution is an algebraic model for finding the exact solution. But what does that really mean? It just means we're going to replace a variable with something that's equal to it. That's it. It's like using one equation as a secret key to unlock the other one.
You know what? Let's make it even simpler. Forget algebra for a second. Imagine a recipe says flour equals 2 cups of almond flour. Well, then you can just make a direct swap, right? You just switch them out. That is exactly what we're doing with variables. If we know that y is the same thing as 2x plus 1, then we can swap in 2x plus 1 anywhere we see a y. It's a one-for-one trade. Okay, so now that we get the why, let's talk about the how. There's a basic 5-step method, kind of like a combo move, that's going to let us solve tons of these problems. Let's break it down step by step.
Okay, here it is, our 5-step process. First, you get one variable all by itself in one of the equations. Second, you do the big move. You substitute that expression into the other equation. Third, you solve that new, simpler equation. Fourth, you take that answer and plug it back in to find the second variable. And finally, and this is super important, you check your answer to make sure everything works out. Let's see how this looks in action.
All right, let's try our first example. We've got y equals 4x minus 7 and y equals 2x plus 5. Now, take a look. Step 1 is actually already done for us. How nice is that? Both equations are already solved for y, which makes this the perfect place to start.
And now for the magic, right? Step 2, the actual substitution. Since both of these things equal y, they must equal each other. So we can just set them equal. We take the 4x minus 7 from the first equation and swap it in for the y in the second. And boom, 4x minus 7 equals 2x plus 5. Did you see what just happened? We went from an equation with two variables down to an equation with just one. That's the whole point. And from here on out, it's actually pretty straightforward. This is just an algebra problem we know how to solve. We just need to get all the x's on one side and all the numbers on the other. We do a little shuffling and we find out that x equals 6. There we go. The first piece of our puzzle is in place.
So what do we do now that we know x is 6? Well, for step 4, we just plug it back in. You can pick either of the original equations. It honestly doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer. Let's use the first one. We plug in 6 for x, do the math, and we find that y equals 17. And just like that, we've got the second piece.
Okay, we're almost done, but don't skip this last step. It's so important. We need to check our answer. We think the solution is the point 6, 17. To be sure, we have to plug those numbers back into both of the original equations. And when we do, we get 17 equals 17 for both. That's a true statement, which means we nailed it. That's our correct answer. All right, so we've got the basic moves down. But, you know, life isn't always that easy. What happens when the equations aren't handed to us on a silver platter? Well, it's time to level up our skills. Yeah, the reality is, a lot of the time, you're going to have to do a little bit of prep work first. An equation might not come in that perfect y equals blank format. So our first job is to just rearrange one of the equations to get a variable by itself before we can even think about substituting. Okay, let's tackle this one together. We have y equals 3x plus 8 and 8x plus 4y equals 12. Now that first equation is great. It's ready to go, already solved for y. The second one, not so much. But that's totally fine. We already have exactly what we need to make the swap.
So here's what we do. We take that whole expression, 3x plus 8, and we plug it in for y in the second equation. Now here's a crucial tip. Always use parentheses when you do this. It's so important because it reminds you to use the distributive property. After we multiply everything out and solve, we get our answer. X equals -1.
Okay, you're doing awesome. But every now and then, as you're solving, something weird happens. The variables just vanish.
They completely disappear from the equation. These are what I like to call the special cases, the boss levels of substitution.
So, here's the secret to figuring these out. It all comes down to the very last line of your work. If the variables disappear and you're left with something that is always true, like 5 equals 5, that means you have infinite solutions. But if they disappear and you're left with something that's impossible, like 5 equals 2, that means there's no solution at all.
Let's see this in action. Take a look at this system. We're going to substitute x plus 5 in for y in that second equation. So we distribute the 2, and we get 2x plus 10 minus 2x equals 10. And wait a minute, look at that. The 2x and the minus 2x, they just cancel each other out. They're gone.
And what are we left with? 10 equals 10. I mean, yeah, obviously that's true. When this happens, it's the math's way of telling you that these two equations are really just the same line in disguise. They lie right on top of each other, so they intersect everywhere. That's why there are infinite solutions.
Okay, now for the other weird case. No solution. Here, we'll start by rearranging the first equation to get x equals -4 plus y. Now we substitute that into the second equation. And again, just watch what happens to the variables. Poof, the y's cancel right out.
And this time we're left with -4 equals 2/5. No. That is just not true. It's impossible. When you get a false statement like this, it means the two lines are parallel. They run alongside each other forever, but they will never ever cross. So there is absolutely no solution.
So we've learned the basic moves, we've tackled the tougher problems, and we've even conquered the weird special cases. Now it's time for the payoff. Let's see how this superpower actually works in the real world.
All right, check out this classic word problem. May goes to a store and buys 6 greeting cards, and her total is $15.75. Now, some of the cards cost $2.50 each, and the fancier ones cost $3.25. The question is, how many of each kind did she buy? We can turn this into a system of equations. First, x plus y equals 6 for the total number of cards. And second, 2.5x plus 325y equals 15.75 for the total cost.
Okay, so here's our system. Before we just dive in, let's pause and think like a strategist. Which variable in which equation looks like the easiest one to get by itself? I mean, look at that second equation. Isolating x or y would involve division and probably fractions. Ugh. But that first equation, x plus y equals 6, getting either x or y alone is super easy. That's definitely the way to go.
So let's do it. We'll take that first equation and rewrite it as y equals 6 minus x. Easy enough. Now we substitute 6 minus x into the second equation. We do all the math, a little distribution, combining like terms, and we find out that x is 3. So, she bought 3 of the cheaper cards. And since she bought 6 cards in total, well, she must have bought 3 of the more expensive ones too. See? A real-world puzzle solved.
And that's really the point, isn't it? This isn't just about passing a math test. It's a way of thinking, a tool for solving puzzles that have more than one piece of information you have to deal with. It's all about using what you do know to figure out what you don't. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have this tool in your back pocket, what kind of real-world puzzles could you solve?